everyone, so from now on I am going to be doing reflections and favourites videos like a proper YouTuber. I'm not going to be talking about books. If you want to hear about all the books I read in January, I will leave a link down below to my January reading wrap up. So overall, January was a bit of a weird month for me. Like, emotionally, it was a very strange headspace. A few things happened that kind of threw off my emotional state. Like a couple of really unexpected things. I'm not going to talk about them because they're personal things. But yeah, they kind of just put me in an odd headspace. As well as that, I was so fucking busy. Like, you have no idea. January just feels like it was the longest month ever. So obviously I was in Dublin over Christmas, and then I think I arrived back at my uni town in the first week of January. I had an assignment due a few days later, and as soon as I finished working on that, I was on to doing revision for my Victorian Childhoods exam, and as soon as I was finished that, I moved on to doing my third year big creative writing piece research, which was due like a week later. I think the exam went okay. I'm not really sure. I will find out in a few weeks. As with the research, I was so familiar with the material for both of them by the point I was like submitting or doing the exam that I didn't know if it was smart anymore. Academically, it's been a odd, scary month. But there were a lot of things that I enjoyed in January, starting with the films. It's one of my New Year's resolutions to watch a lot more films, and I want to keep track of the films that I'm watching. So I think in January I watched Pride, I watched Whiplash, I watched La La Land. They were the films that I'd never seen before that I watched, and then I rewatched Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And I rewatched Labyrinth, the David Bowie film. I'm not really going to talk about the films that I rewatched in January, but if you love Labyrinth, one of the best things you can do is watch someone who has never watched Labyrinth watch Labyrinth. I really, really loved Pride. I thought it was fantastic. If you don't know what Pride is, this is about the coming together of two marginalised groups in the UK. So we have an LGBT group and we also have the miners. If you don't know much about the miners' strike, I will leave links down below to where you can find out more information on it. But basically this LGBT group in London, very much involved with the Gays the Word bookshop in London, if you know that, decided that they were going to help raise money for the miners' strike. And it is about these two groups coming together and putting aside any differences there might be and learning from one another, and it's just absolutely fantastic. They end up going down to a little Welsh mining town, and that was a really interesting perspective for me to see as someone that is living in Wales, but I'm not from Wales. And I actually watched it with four guys who are from Wales. They were able to like tell me little bits of information that I wouldn't know if I'd watched it for myself. Pride was absolutely fantastic and I had a little cry. Now on to Whiplash and La La Land. Okay, so La La Land first. I didn't love La La Land. I'm sorry. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, but I didn't love it. I'm pretty sure I don't need to tell you much about the plot of La La Land because I think most people have seen it already. But it is basically this tribute to musicals, and it tells the story of these two characters that come together and their relationship. And there were so many things that I loved about this film. I loved the ending. I thought the ending was absolutely brilliant. I thought Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling were absolutely incredible. I loved the dance sequence by the sunset. I thought that was just so well done. And I really, really loved all the little Easter eggs, all the little tributes to musicals. So to name but a few, there were obviously references to Singing in the Rain, there were references to Moulin Rouge, there were references to Grease and Sweet Charity, among many, many others, and I absolutely loved those, and it gave you that little feeling where you're like, oh, I get what that is, I understand that. But for me, it wasn't as amazing as what it was paying tribute to. I don't think any of the songs were kind of standout and iconic. There were no songs that I was still singing and trying to get out of my head the day later, like I would have had when I was watching the musicals that it pays tribute to. And also La La Land really suffered from the same thing that Whiplash suffers from, which is white boy explains jazz. There's one scene in La La Land which could have been incredible if it didn't have such negative associations for me. So there is one scene where Ryan Gosling's character is explaining jazz to Emma Stone's character, who doesn't really think she likes jazz. And the amount of times I have been in that position of having a man just explain music to me as if I don't get it. I was in a big band for several years at school, and that by no means makes me an expert on any form of music, but I know a little bit. And then after I graduated secondary school, I played a little bit of jazz music. Again, by no means makes me an expert. And then when you factor in the whiteness of La La Land, like, jazz is something that is so important in African American history. Like, I do not feel any sort of ownership to jazz because it's not mine, if that makes sense. I don't know, something just didn't sit right about this white guy explaining jazz when it could have been so much more interesting and powerful if there was a person of colour explaining the importance of jazz. I think it would have been really cool if Emma Stone's character was a woman of colour as well, because she's a struggling actress. That would have been really interesting and a really strong point to be making with the film. You know, that women of colour don't get cast in these big roles as much as they could, as much as they should. I just feel like they could have done something so much more interesting and powerful with it, and they didn't. And I don't think it's a film that has really stayed with me. I don't think I'm going to be thinking about it that much in a month's time. Whiplash, however, was something that I am still thinking about it, and it's been quite a while since I watched it. It was quite early on in the month, I think. And this is about this drummer who is accepted into this really prestigious music school and is then invited to try and be part of this really prestigious band, and is about the relationship between him and the conductor and how the conductor pushes him so much. Again, it suffered from that same issue of white boy explains jazz. And there were like hardly any women in this film, even in the band, where there's no reason for there not to be women. I think we saw 2 female musicians, one we barely saw. Like, I was looking for female musicians, and I don't think it would have been noticeable if it wasn't something I was looking for. The other female musician was not in this prestigious band, and she was basically objectified. The conductor said to her, let's see if you're any good or if you're just pretty or something like that, and he concluded it was the latter. So that wasn't cool. But Whiplash is a film that has left me thinking about what my opinion on it is and how I feel about the relationship between the 2 characters and what it was trying to portray. So in that sense, it was really, really fantastic. And both of those films were filmed absolutely gorgeously. The cinematography, especially in La La Land, was just, it was really good. TV. So what TV did I watch in January? I didn't watch a lot of TV in January. I watched Sherlock, but the less we say about that, the better. I can't remember the name of the actress who plays Sherlock's sister, but I will leave her name somewhere because she is a favourite of the month because she was incredible. But Sherlock as a whole, I just feel like there's something innately problematic in having the big bad of the series be a woman in an insane asylum. Second episode, that was great. The first episode and the third episode, not that great at all. I thought the third episode was really tense, and it was an enjoyable viewing experience if you don't think about it too critically, but once you start to think about it critically, bit fucking ridiculous. I did watch a series of unfortunate events on Netflix this month, and I really enjoyed it. If I had known that they were only going to cover the first 4 books, I would have made my reread of the series a lot slower. Like, I was having a little panic in January because I was like, oh no, I'm not going to make it to the end of the series in time. Really, I had covered all the books they were going to cover in the first season really early on in my reread, so... But I thought A Series of Unfortunate Events was filmed really, really well. I really liked the casting. I thought that was great. I really love the little references that people who have read the books will get, and I really love that they've included things that aren't in the books. They've included extra things. So each book has 2 whole episodes dedicated to it, and that gives them a lot of space to play around with the plot a little bit and really devote attention to every bit that deserves attention. I really love how meta it is, because one of the things that I really love about A Series of Unfortunate Events is how meta it is. I really like how there's a lot more focus on the personalities and traits of the henchman, the hook-handed man. Seeing him like do stuff is just a really nice thing to see on screen. Like, it's not really shown as a disability because there's nothing he doesn't have the ability to do. I didn't think it was an incredible TV show, but it was really nice to visit these characters and see them on screen and see what they're doing with it. It was just nice viewing. It was just something I wanted to put on in the evening to just relax and enjoy myself. Seeing as I have almost finished my tea, I'm now going to tell you about my tea favourite for the month. I am very much just a standard Builder's Brew tea kind of girl. I'm not even that fussy on like what type of tea bags. Like, I'm very happy with like the supermarket owned red label tea bags. Like, that'll do me fine. But I do want to start branching out a little bit. I think I've pretty much decided that I just don't like herbal or fruit teas. I might try out some different ones at some point, but I don't think I like them. I think what I want to try is different variations of black tea. And in January I drank a lot of the Twinings Pure Ceylon tea bags. I think that's how you pronounce it. These are just like a little bit stronger than like your standard black tea. It's really nice. It's really kind of like refreshing for like a black tea. So I knew I liked these ones, but they're just really good for me when I'm stressed, and January was a month of quite a bit of stress. I had this candle that I was saving for a time in my life when I was really stressed. I was like, nope, I need to save this candle for a time when I'm working loads and I just want to treat myself. And that is Reading at the Cafe candle from Frostbeard. So they do like a lot of bookish kind of candles, and this one, Reading at the Cafe, almost gone now, but it smells like a mocha. So it smells like chocolate and coffee mixed together, and I don't drink a lot of coffee, but I really like the smell of it. I'd say I don't drink a lot of coffee, I drink no coffee. So this was heaven. And another candle that I really enjoyed is this Christmas one, and it is Candy Cane Forest from the Home Inspiration range at Yankee. This has just made my room smell so fresh, and it's so nice, and it's really strong. So again, this one was just really nice, really relaxing, really good when I was stressed. I don't think there's any more lifestyle bits. I've got a couple of beauty bits. I don't wear makeup apart from like lip balm and lipstick. Like, that's the only makeup I ever wear. And another thing I kind of want to get into this year is having like better quality lipsticks. And the two I wore a lot in January, this one, which is Heather Shimmer. It's by Rimmel. So it looks like that on my skin. It's like kind of a brown colour. Just kind of, it looks a bit sophisticated, I think. And this one from Collection, which I think is like a Superdrug own brand, but I'm not sure. And it's their moisturising lip butter in Perfect Plum. Looks like this. It's kind of like a crayon. It's like that kind of colour. This, you can't tell what kind of colour it is. If I can find any videos where I'm wearing them, I will link them down below. This one is really, really nice, and I think the colour is really strong. It does genuinely feel like it's moisturising my lips, which is great. It does come off quite easily. That doesn't bother me too much. I did try the matte version in another colour, and I did not like the matte version. So if you're gonna get one of these, I would definitely recommend getting the moisturising one and not the matte one. So I think they are all my reflections and favourites for January. Let me know some of the stuff you've been up to in January. Did you watch any of the same things that I did in January? I feel like everyone saw La La Land this month, so we can have a chat about that down below. I'd really like to talk to other people about it and see if they shared some of my opinions on it. That's all I'm going to talk about for now, but I will see you guys in a few days.